Kia ora koutou katoa, nau mai hara mai ki tāo Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse. Te korimako o Taranaki, 94.8 FM and 98.4 FM. Well, he is a resilient front row forward who gave everything to the game of rugby across provinces, Super Rugby and overseas. He's built a career on hard work and toughness, representing teams such as Taranaki, the Hurricanes, Chiefs, Otago, Queensland Reds, and earning selection for the New Zealand Colts and New Zealand Māori along the way. No mai hara mai Tama Tuirirangi. Kia ora, my bro.
Kia ora, bro. Good to be here, my man.
Awesome, mate. Awesome to have you on the show. Been looking forward to our little catch-up. But before we get started, ko wai koe, no he koe, just a little bit about yourself and where you're from, my man.
Okay, bro. Ko wai au, mi te taho tōku pāpa, he uri no Ngāti Mani o poto me te awa Wanganui. I te taho tōku māma, he uri no kaitahu, ka te māmoe, waitaha, Ngāti Tama, Ngāti Mutunga, ki re kohu me Taranaki, I whānau mai ahau, I te Waipounamu, ki Waihopai, engari I tupu ake ki Taranaki, ki ngā motu, I Kranau ki te kuro o hato tipene hoki. No reira, ko kurumate Tama Tuirirangi tōku inga. Kia ora. That's me, bro, in a nutshell.
Choice, brother, choice. Hey, good to see those whakapapa connections in there. Now, I understand you were born in Invercargill and then moved up to Ngāmotu a little bit later on in life. But tell us a little bit about your upbringing and how you got into sports, what sports you played and all that jazz.
Yeah, mate. Pretty much from an early age, our mother and father had us playing sport. I suppose me and my brother were always quite active. If we got too bored, we're always in trouble. So mama, from the beginning, we always played T-ball, softball as a kid down on the South Island. Continued that here in New Plymouth. And then our father didn't really like rugby too much, so he made us play rugby league first. So I was with the Dragons and Kane was Western Suburbs. So there was always that rivalry there. And then I went to Tipene where I had to play rugby and wasn't allowed to play rugby league at that stage. And then at Tipene, as most kids do, you just play every sport while you're there. Cricket, volleyball, softball again, and just every other sport touch, just to keep the mind ticking over. But that's pretty much my childhood in a nutshell when it comes to sport. And then it sort of developed later on once I left school.
Nice. Now, obviously, when you left school, you had a pretty illustrious career in footy. But before you left school, you said you attended Tipene, Māori Boys College up there, St. Stephen's on the Bombay. You also went to New Plymouth Boys High for a little part. What part did those two kura play in terms of the man you are today and your introduction, I suppose, into rugby union?
I suppose Tipene from a tikanga Māori perspective, it's sort of when you go to that school, it's sort of you can't hide from it. But you just felt like you belonged, and there was no excuses. So the tikanga Māori part for Tipene was outstanding, and it set the foundation for everything that came along later on, and now, and even now in life. Boys High was an experience. It was an eye-opener for me. It was like going into another world. But it was only 1 year there. You adapt pretty quickly. Kids are good at pretty resilient, so you adapt pretty quickly. But my I suppose my time at Tipene was probably the main influence on my career and where I wanted to go and how I got it done, especially now. I'm very thankful that I went to that school because it's that tikanga-based upbringing there, sort of, as I said, it's given me what I've got now.
Beautiful, and great to see the kura reopen last year, and a few of the boys they're kind of keeping that, keeping those traditions alive for Tipene. Now, out of school, what happened out of school? Like, where did you go after school in terms of your rugby? I know you made the New Zealand Colts. How did that come about? That must have been a huge accomplishment for you as a young person, for you and your whānau. Tell us a little bit about that transition phase out of school into those younger grades in rugby union.
Yep, I was quite lucky, I suppose, in that the main influences, I had probably 2 or 3 main influences on my career with rugby. Firstly would have been Nathan Jury at Tipene. And then I was lucky enough to be coached by Dale Atkins at Boys High. And then after Dale Atkins, there was Colin Cooper. So I had 3 Māori influences on my career who sort of, as we all know, us kids can be very mischievous at times. They kept me on the straight and narrow. If it wasn't for them, I was pretty lucky to get to where I did in my rugby career. And I suppose when I left school, Dale was still there to help me out, and so was Nathan. Colin. Colin obviously saw something in me when I was playing club rugby around town, and just sort of was a calming influence on me during my whole career and post-career as well.
Awesome. Love that. Some real amazing time in Māori there, that's for sure. Now, the front row forward position's not an easy one. It's one of the toughest positions in the game, both mentally and physically. What did it take from you week in, week out to perform at a high level in the front row against some pretty handy big boys?
Well, there's definitely some big boys. I definitely wasn't the biggest boy in the comp, but I was lucky that I suppose I had a bit of aggression when I was younger. I remember talking to one mate, Case Muse would always say a props position is about 90% mongrel, 10% the rest. And you can learn the rest, but you can't teach mongrel. And I suppose it was something that I sort of naturally had. The part that I wasn't so good at early on in my career was probably the training part, but that came later on in life. But I suppose during those early years, I was lucky that I had enough aggression to keep me going. And then later on, I learned that being fit was probably better than not being fit.
Being in the front row, you would have come up against some pretty awesome props. Tell us a few names that kind of spring to mind straight away when you think of some of those battles and the scrums that you've had over the years.
There's been quite a few. I just naming Case being one of them. I remember one year, being the young fella that I was quite cocky and arrogant and aggressive and all the same, and I was giving him a bit of mouth. That mouth only lasted about 5 minutes before we started going backwards, so it didn't last long. He definitely reminded me after the game. He still reminds me today too. But that was him, and Carl Hoff. Carl Hoff was another good one. New Zealand props, I always found New Zealand props very different to like your South Africans. So New Zealand props were quite technical in the fact that if you weren't on top of your game, they'd easily get under you or get around you or go through you. So you had to be on your game. With South African props, also a South African 4-pack in general, they just scrummage as a whole 8. They're not too worried about being technically flash, but you'll just feel them as a whole 8 just move you. And you've just got to be on your game there as a team, really, because they're just such big buggers. And if you're not on your game with them, they'll just roll over you.
Wow, there's big brutes over there in South Africa. Well, whānau, we're having an awesome kōrero here with Tama Tuirirangi. Make sure to stay tuned because we're going to talk about his time in the Taranaki jersey, in the Otago jersey, and also playing Super Rugby. So make sure to stay tuned. Kia ora koutou whānau, welcome back to Te Ao Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, Te Kore Mako o Taranaki. We're here with Tama Tuirirangi having a kōrero about his illustrious career in rugby union. Now, Tama, you represented some pretty awesome provinces in the rugby scene here in Aotearoa, one being your home province of Taranaki, but also Otago, and I think there might have been one or two more. Now, tell us what it was, what it was like to represent and don those kind of jerseys, that steeped in history.
Yeah, Taranaki was probably the first province I played for. And that was great. I loved it. It was a long time ago now, thinking about it, but the likes of your Smiley Barretts, who was there with me? Gordon Slater in the front row, Shane McDonald, and all those guys, Dawson Tamati. So that was back in the late 90s when I first started, and just being a young fella, at the same time, you sort of don't realise how significant that is until you get older, and how much how lucky you were to play with guys like that. But yeah, it was a great time, Taranaki, great culture too. A lot of farmers back in those days compared to now. I think there's still a couple of farmers here and there, but I think the majority of the team back then were farmers. So you gotta, you gotta get used to the farming talk at the dinner table. So
Awesome. And what about Otago? Obviously, Otago's a really proud province as well, and I know you had a really awesome time down there. What was it like to don the gold O?
Yeah, I suppose Otago is probably one of my most memorable times playing rugby, to be honest. Culturally, it's just a great place. I was playing with a great bunch of guys, coached by Tony Brown and Case Muse again. Great coaches. It was, I suppose, and I was at an older age. I was pretty much just about, I think I retired about a year or two after that. And it was just a time where I was probably at my best. And then towards the end, I sort of started realizing I was getting older. My body wasn't able to handle the hits anymore. But definitely a different environment from Taranaki. But as I said, one of the most memorable times in my rugby career. I think that year, the second year, I think I was with them. We won the Ranfurly Shield, and that's something I'll never forget either. That was a memorable moment too.
Awesome. Well, you went on to also play a bit of Super Rugby with the Hurricanes and the Chiefs, and then you went overseas, I believe, to the Reds, and even had time in Italy. How did those different environments kind of challenge and develop you as a player playing at that real elite level?
Yeah, well, it just shows you how much of a business it is. The higher you go, you play NPC at still sort of grassroots, semi-professional level, and then when you get to that next level above, it's complete business. And you got to realize that that's what you're there for. It's your bread and butter. I was probably still a bit young back then when I made it, and I probably still hadn't sort of thought of it like that, if you know what I mean. I probably didn't grow up until my late 20s, early 30s, and realize that if I'm going to have a good go at it, finish off my career on a good note, I need to put in the work and the effort. And if I go back to my younger times when I first started in Super, I probably didn't treat it enough like a business. We'll have that balance of business and professionalism and enjoyment at the same time.
Yeah. Now, on your rugby journey, like it wasn't without setbacks, you had a couple of serious injuries. How difficult were those moments, and what kind of helped you stay mentally kind of strong during time away from the game and that?
I had I suppose my major injury was my neck. Neck surgery I had back in, it would have been about 22, 23, I think. And that was a prolapse disc in my neck. And I thought my career was over. Back then, it wasn't much, whereas back then it was more serious than what it is today, sorry. Whereas today, you get surgery done and you're back playing in a few months, whereas back then I had about a whole year off, I think it was. But that was an eye-opener. I definitely had to keep myself going. Still young enough to not realise that I probably should have been working on something outside of rugby than thinking more of rugby, which I did. But you realise how fragile life is and how quickly the game can be taken away from you. It's not there.
100%. Now, you played across, multiple different levels, provincial, Super Rugby, overseas, national teams. What do you think young props today need to focus on the most to make that step, that step up into that real professionalism successfully?
That's a good question there, Kips. Well, I've always thought if you can teach yourself to have a better balance in life and not focus on the sport itself, you won't burn yourself out as fast. I always tell young players now, try and have something outside of rugby, because if you're thinking rugby constantly, you're going to burn yourself out. I usually liken it to doing the dishes for your mother once or twice a week. You don't mind doing that, but if you have to do it every day, it's gonna bore you and piss you off, and you're gonna try and get away with it. but that's how I sort of liken it. You'd rather do the dishes once a week and not every day. But and that's what rugby gets like if you've got nothing else on the side, if you know what I mean, outside of rugby. If you're thinking it 24/7, it's just going to burn inside your head all the time, and you're going to get, bored and tired of it. And so that's what I try and tell these young players today. Try and have something. Try and have balance.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's a good feedback there. Now, finally, if you were speaking to young players sitting, in a school gym right now, what advice would you give them about, resilience and setbacks and staying committed to their goals and their aspirations?
That's a very good question too. Have good habits and routines. If you can sort your habits and routines out nice and early in life, it makes it a lot easier when you get older. Pretty much as soon as you hit high school, that's what you want to have is good habits and routines, and that's what our kids need. Because you put them onto that straight away, it keeps them going in that mode. I never had good habits and good routine as a kid. You always learn these things later on, don't you? Or you learn it the hard way. But yeah, that's one of the main things is having good habits and good routines and just enjoy yourself. I remember schoolboy rugby, and it still is now, was my most memorable rugby. My most passionate playing for Tippini was my most favourite time of my rugby career, playing for the first 15. I still remember vividly, and I still watch a few videos here and there of when I played with my mates, because it's your brotherhood. Those guys you went to school with at Tippini or any other boarding school, to be exact, is your most memorable time at school. And today, whenever I catch up with my mates, it's like we only saw each other yesterday. We're still taking the mickey out of each other, 2 seconds after seeing each other.
Love that. Oh, awesome bit of advice there for our listeners at home. But hey, Tama, thanks so much for coming on the show, bro. I was, I had the privilege of running on the field alongside you, and not only a good mate on the field, but an even better person off the field. Appreciate you sharing your journey and the awesomeness that you brought to the game of rugby union over many, many years, and great to see you still giving back to the young ones and the next generation, and look forward to following your journey moving forward, bro.
Kia ora, bro. Much appreciated.
Oh, shit. Where's my mouse gone? There it is. In